Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Before I get into this, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you guys. I have reached 1,000 subscribers as of yesterday, and I'm really happy with that. You know, it's been something that I've been looking forward to for a long time. Every YouTuber looks forward to it. It's a bit of a milestone. So thank you so much for everyone's support. I really actually appreciate all the questions that I get. All the comments, all the feedback. I take all that constructive criticism on and I love it, guys. So thank you so much. So today I'm going to celebrate my little milestone by first of all reviewing my turbo kit. I think it's been about 1 or 2 months since I put that in. So I'm going to look at how it's running still, any improvements I've made since then, and I'm just going to give it to you straight, give you a bit of a rundown. And then I'm also going to celebrate my love for all that criticism and the comments I get from you guys by going through and answering any big questions you've put on my YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and I'm going to cover most, if not all of them today, just so it's all out in the open. And if you have any more questions after that, I'm sure I can do another video just like this. So without further ado, let's get into the video. What I'll start with today is a fairly cold startup. So now that I've got all my gauges installed, just so you can see what mine looks like, because I have had a question asking what my oil pressure looks like on startup, what my EGTs run at, and all that kind of thing. So let's give it a start up. Okay, so there you go. That's about what my oil pressure sits at on idle at startup. It might drop down to 20 after it's hot, when the oil's just a little bit thinner. As you can see, it's not probably entirely cold because it only hasn't been run for a couple hours. EGT on idle generally sits up to, about that. It never goes past 100 degrees on idle really, so that's about right. And while we're on the topic of EGTs, I might just, instead of giving you a view while I'm running, I might just talk you through it quickly. So generally on the highway, this will sit between 250 and 300 degrees. That's with about 9 pounds of boost. It probably sits on about 8 at 2,500 revs when I'm doing about 105k an hour. So yeah, up to 300 degrees there. When I'm pushing it really hard, I've never seen it go past 400 degrees. So, as far as I'm concerned, that is really safe temperature. So I could even wind the boost up a little bit more if I wanted to. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. And, I'm really happy with the power I'm getting. So, I might turn the boost up one day, I might not, we'll see. I think I'm really happy with it at the moment. I might end up putting an intercooler in which case I will definitely crank the boost up to about 14 PSI. And I guess we'll see what the EGTs do then. All right, we'll open the bonnet for a bit of a look under there, just so you can see that I haven't actually changed anything. So, it's all running pretty tidy still. There's our turbo down there. That JB kit on. You can see that I've got the boost line running out there, EGT line there. My 1HD turbo back flange. You can buy these dump pipes separately for a couple $100, but if you can find an adapter, that's even better. I covered all that in my exhaust video. And then I've got my 3-inch exhaust. Sounds beautiful on idle. A little bit sooty now, a couple months later. The one change I have made since my last video is this here. So I didn't actually tighten that up properly after installing the accelerator cable again. So what I've done is I've tightened that right up so I get a heaps better response now. And my 0 to 100 time has actually gone down to 22 seconds. So that is a massive improvement again. So there you go. And still, after, that was tight before I put the turbo on, and I was only getting 35 seconds, 0 to 100 time. So that 8 or 9 pounder boost has made a massive difference. The next question I get all the time is, have I touched the fuel? Have I wound the screw up? Have I done anything to that? No, this is a stock pump. I haven't touched the fuel screw at all, because from the professional advice I've gotten, that is exactly what will destroy an engine. If you mess with that fuel screw and get it wrong, too much fuel, too high EGTs, you'll blow a piston head, you'll crack it, you'll do something wrong. So I'm not advising against, I am advising against that, but the advice I have gotten is if you're going to wind that screw up, an 1/8 of a turn is all you need to go. Personally, I'm not touching that. I will get this professionally tuned sometime very soon in the near future, and I will get them to get the air fuel ratio right, and that's when you'll see a real increase in power. There are some misconceptions in that if you don't touch that fuel screw, you'll actually lose power. Well, I don't think that's necessarily true. I'm sure there is an element of truth to that, but I have definitely not lost power since I put this on. If you've watched my earlier videos, you'll see that there has only been incredible increases just in that. So yes, it will run a bit leaner, but diesels are actually safe lean. That's another common misconception. People get petrols and diesel mixed up. So petrols are really dangerous lean. That's how you blow a petrol up. But diesels love being a little bit lean. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually incredibly safe. So running that extra boost through has definitely picked up my engine so much. It's made an incredible difference. I can tell you now the torque increase has definitely been, amazing. It pulls up hills like it never has before. You put your foot down in low revs at high speeds and it picks up like it never has before. So the increase has been in the low and high rev range, which is exactly what I was after and more. So yes, it is great to turn the fuel screw up if you're after more power, but it is not a necessity. Another question I get all the time is about overheating, high EGTs, wrecking the turbo from, too hot of oil, all that. So the CT26 is what this is. I'm pretty sure it's the stock CT26 that comes on a 1HD. As far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of variations of the CT26, but this is the one that comes on the 1HD FTE. So there is actually a waterline, there's a spot for a waterline, water cooling, if you were going to do that, which is this here. And of course, you'd have to go get the fittings and the pipes and plumb all that in. That does not come with the JB kit. And I don't know if it comes with any other kits. So you can go and install a waterline, water cooling, which would be a lot better for your turbo. A lot of people say that's a great idea. The alternative that I chose, and a lot of people have mixed opinions about this too, is a turbo timer, which I have installed in a previous video. So I generally run that for 1:30 after a long run, even just for a half hour, 45-minute run. I like to just run that, and that allows the oil to just cool a little bit, which actually conserves your turbo, or is meant to conserve your turbo and make it last a lot longer. So there's not a rapid cooling of oil in the turbo, because apparently that causes a lot of problems. So, there's a few different ways you can look after your turbo's health and make it last longer. And I recommend water cooling, but I've chosen not to for this, just because I don't think it's actually going to get that hot for what I'm doing at the moment. I don't tow a lot. The EGTs are all very low. So I think that I've got a good setup at the moment. Of course, if I was going to put a lot more boost through it, up the fuel, there might be some reason to go and water cool your turbo. Why did I choose SaaS gauges? That's another one I get. So I have heard from a couple sources that these are cheaper, are prone to fail, and they aren't massively expensive. But the reason I chose these is because that kind of style actually fits in with my dash cluster as is. And, I love consistency. I don't like things to look out of place or messy in my vehicle. So I did choose them because they look very similar to my dash cluster. And honestly, I've been happy with these. Every now and then when this gets left out in the rain, you'll find that needle kind of shakes. It's not very reliable. That happens once in a blue moon. It's very rare. Generally, it sits very firm. It gives me an accurate reading as far as I'm concerned. I don't have any leaks. The lights are all great. I've gone and, installed this switch so that I don't always have to have them on. I've got no problem with SaaS gauges, and they do the trick just right for me at this stage. Okay, so another question I get asked, which I do think is an important one, but it's not something I like to broadcast, but how much did this conversion cost me? What was the price? So let's start at the turbo kit. The turbo kit, this JB kit with the turbo was valued at $2,400. That came with the manifold, turbo pipes, you've seen it all. Exhaust kit was from PPD Performance. It's a 3-inch turbo back exhaust, stainless, 304 grade stainless steel, I think. And that's for, this model, obviously. That was only $600. I was really impressed with how cheap that was, actually. Given its quality, I cannot complain about a thing there. So 600, I guess that's $3,000 already. What do we got next? Well, I mean, that's the base of it, really. That's most of it. So about $3,000 if you want to go that far. Now, our gauges, well, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure that the boost and EGT gauge were about $100. This oil pressure gauge might have been $50, but you don't necessarily need that if you've got a correct, oil pressure thing here, but mine's buggered. And the turbo timer was about $80. So what's that? 150, 80, 230. So all up, that's just over $3,200, which I think is pretty cheap, I'm sure that, something like a G Turbo is of better quality. I love the quality of this. I'm really happy with it. But, a G Turbo kit will set you back just that in the turbo. So, it depends what you're looking to spend. This whole conversion was only $3,200 and I am really pleased with it. So, I wouldn't do anything different if I had my time again. So, yeah. Another question I got is, once I capped off the breather, what did I do with the open end? So this here, once engines get old, they breathe a bit, they spit a bit of oil. There's a bit of, rubbish that gets back in through the pistons once they wear a bit. And basically what that does is depressurizes that. So there's no buildup of pressure and all the rubbish gets, put back normally it gets put back into the intake manifold and run through your engine again. So as far as I know, that between there is where you would run something like an oil catch can, which is great for your engine. So it's not just putting all that rubbish back in here and, it's just putting that debris, oil, fuel, water, whatever back through your engine, which obviously isn't good for it. I ran that breather pipe actually just around here. And there's the open end there. It's literally just running onto the ground just because I don't want that rubbish back in through my intake manifold. And as you can see, my engine can't be breathing too bad because there's not a lot of oil or water or anything down there on top of my starter motor. So obviously that isn't the ideal place to run it. I would use a catch can system or something, but I think that is probably the best option for my engine at the moment. And so just quickly, I also got asked how many kilometers this had done before I put the turbo on. I might have covered this briefly in my other videos, but I may not have gone into it. I may have not made a big deal out of it. So this car has done over 600,000. The body has done, there you go, 605,000. Now, I actually swapped this block out not long ago because it was there was a new one that came up and the old one was just running a little bit messy. So this block has done about 450,000. And I haven't done many cases since I put the turbo on, so that's about right. About 450,000 this 1HZ had done before I put the turbo on. And it's still running fairly nicely. For the case it's done, I'm pretty happy with that. It's not too worn, It's actually running really nicely for how old it is. These things run forever if you look after them. And so lastly, before I go take this thing for a bit of a drive, the other thing I've been asked is what the noise is like inside the cabin. Now obviously this is really hard to show through a camera because, as you all know, cameras are a little bit hit and miss about what they pick up and what they don't. But I can tell you now that the noise level inside the cabin is pretty much the same. These things are beautifully insulated, There's sound deadening insulation underneath, like underlay underneath the carpet. Doors are all insulated. Everything is like really quiet. So I'll give this a bit of a rev and see if you can hear it. Let me just put this back here roughly. So obviously it's probably not real obvious, you know, you probably can't hear that very clearly through the camera, but you know, right now I'm revving that up to 3,000 revs and it's pretty quiet. I'm really happy with that. On the road, you know, you can have a conversation easily and it's quiet. It's not loud. So, you know, the 3-inch exhaust and turbo have made no real difference to the noise level inside the cabin. It's great. Outside the cabin, that's a bit of a different story, but I'm not going to complain about that one. Alright, so I'll go get someone to hold my camera while I drive, and we will go for a bit of a drive, and we will have a look at specifically the oil pressure, the water temp, the boost, the EGTs, and just how fast it's taken off at the moment. So let's go do that. So now So now after that quick highway trip, you can see, I don't know exactly what temperature that is because I'm just using a stock gauge, but it's sitting about there. Oil pressure, as I said, when the oil's hot, the pressure drops a little bit at idle, so it's sitting just below 20. Exhaust gas temperatures right back down to below 200 degrees. And as you saw, it never really got above 300 degrees when I was driving on the highway. And it never got above 400 when I was pushing it. You know, it's pretty extremely hard. I wouldn't normally take off that quick. So as you can see, 1 or 2 months later, this thing is still running as strong as ever. The turbo kit hasn't damaged it in any way that I'm aware of. Everything's running great. I'm having no overheating problems. EGTs are safe as, low boost. This thing is a new machine and it's handling it so well. So yeah, I hope I answered all of your questions today, and if I didn't, remember I will answer them down in the comments section there. Find me on Facebook and Instagram. I will answer your comments, questions, private messages, you know, any time of the day. So just give me a message if you've got a problem, a question, whatever. I'd love to hear from you guys. So thanks so much for watching, and again, I'm so happy that I've made it to 1,000 subscribers, and I wouldn't be there without you. So thanks so much for your support, and I hope to see you in the next video.